Hi, I'm Larry Richardson, your step-by-step chef. And in this exciting episode, we are going to make a plant-based sausage, mushroom, onion, and cheese omelet. Now, this is part of our series, our continuing series on how to cook with plant-based meats. And why do we want to cook with plant-based meats? First of all, they're delicious. Second of all, they're relatively healthy, depending on which one you pick, just like animal-based meats. And third of all, it's good for the environment. It takes less fossil fuels to produce plant-based meat. So that means less greenhouse gases, less climate change, less global warming, less sea level rise, and more flavor. This is absolutely delicious. And when you pick good plant-based meats, you will find that you don't notice the difference. Those are the ones that you're looking for, and they do exist. So now we're going to make this delicious omelet, and I'm going to show you how the step-by-step way. So come on, let's cook. And here are the ingredients for our omelet. First of all, I have a plant-based sausage. Now, I did try a number of different sausages, and so far, this is my favorite brand. There are others out there that just didn't quite appeal to me. And that's why I'm saying when you are eating with these plant-based meats, if you get one that's not that appealing to you, move on, find a new one, because there are delicious versions of just about every meat you can think of out there at this point in your freezer section. So we'll use about a third of a cup of this sausage. We're going to brown it up. We're going to use a 1/4 cup of sweet onion. You can use white onion, yellow onion, red onion, the onion of your choice. We have 3 eggs. I'm going to use about a third of a cup of this Mexican 4-cheese blend. And I like this blend in omelets, but you can pick whatever blend you like. I also have 8 ounces of mushrooms, and we're going to use half of that container. So we'll use 4 ounces of mushrooms. We're going to rinse those off, clean them up, and slice them up. And then I have 2 teaspoons of butter. And then what you're going to do is use some salt and pepper to taste. And I let people add that at the table. I don't do that when I'm cooking. That way, they can control their sodium intake. So that's totally up to them. So let me show you how to put all this together. Okay, so there's not a lot of prep work involved in this omelet. I did rinse off these mushrooms, picked off any sand, and we're just giving it the mushrooms a nice thin cut. So you can see it's about 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch. And I'll do that for the whole pack. And you can pick other mushrooms if you want. I'm using white mushrooms. You can use baby Bella mushrooms or some other variety that appeals to you. But just make sure that it'll hold up to the omelet, because we will brown these, cook them down some. Because you don't want the mushrooms, this volume of mushroom in the omelet, but it sure will cook down. And it'll fit inside the omelet just perfectly. So we're just doing this, just giving it a quick slice. And we'll put it into this bowl. And I like to do all this prep work before I do anything on the stove. That way I'm never running around the kitchen trying to make up time. And if I have a little bit too much mushroom here, which happens, I'll just set that aside and I'll work it into another recipe. So nothing goes to waste. Kind of surprised. I might have grabbed more mushrooms than I thought out of that 8-ounce package. But that's okay. Nothing that can't be fixed, right? There we go. Just put those right into this bowl. And then we'll take our onion. We'll cut off the core piece. There we go. Give it a nice peel. Well, this is going to be a good onion. And again, pick the variety of onion that you like. I find these sweet onions really add a nice taste to omelets. And then what I'm doing is we're going to mince this onion until we have a 1/4 cup. So I'm cutting these lines in the top of the onion very close together. What this does is it forms the little squares of onion that we're going to slice off of this onion. And I don't go too deep in the onion because I don't need an awful lot of it. And so I'm not chopping the whole onion. I would end up wasting food that way. So I'm just giving it another slice perpendicular. So we're making little squares on the top of the onion. And then what we do is we just write the onion like this, and we slice down the front of it. And make it really thin slices, since we want a finely minced onion. there you go. There's your 1/4 cup of onion. Wow, that's a delicious aroma from that onion. And then what we do, let me just rinse my hands, is we have our eggs at the ready. They were standing by the side of the stage. And we just crack those into this bowl. Making sure not to get any shell in it. And we add a teaspoon of water. What that does is it helps the egg to fluff up. Some people use milk, but we're not cooking very much with that liquid, so it doesn't really add flavor one way or the other, and water performs just as well. So just give it a good mixing. Get it nice and uniform. Okay, that's good enough. I'll meet you over at the stove. Okay, so I have this frying pan preheated at just over 1/4 heat, and we're going to saute the veggies in this and the sausage. So we're going to put one of our teaspoons of butter in the pan, and just coat half of the pan with it, because the other half of the pan the sausage is going to brown in, and it doesn't need butter. Just put that down here. It got a little tacky. It's kind of warm today where I'm cooking. Okay, here's our mushroom onion mix. We're just going to saute this, and we want the mushrooms to start to brown and shrink quite a bit from what they are now. They have too much volume, and there's not enough room in this omelet to handle that much mushroom. And again, if I cook this and I find that there's too much mushroom, then I will take it and set some of it aside. And you can add a little bit more butter if you want, but this should do. And I'll be back in about 5 minutes. It'll take about 5 minutes for these mushrooms to brown. And adjust your heat accordingly. Everyone's stove is a little bit different. You don't want them to cook so fast that they start to scorch. So I'll be right back. Okay, so 5 minutes into the process, the mushrooms have cooked down nicely. Everything's getting nice and browned. So we'll take our 1/3 cup of ground sausage, and we'll just put it in this pan. And since there are a number of different kinds of plant-based meat, make sure to read the package of the one that you bought so that you know how to handle it correctly. They're all a little bit different, and they don't necessarily handle the same way as animal-based meat. So that's the kind of thing you want to do. And so I'm kind of crumbling this up. This is ground sausage. Crumbling it up, and it is plant-based. Now you will see that I'm using cheese and butter, so this is not a strictly vegetarian venture for me. I'm trying to substitute out some of the animal-based meat that I eat out of my diet. And I've been doing this for a couple of months as I've been testing these recipes, and I'm really enjoying it, quite frankly. I feel a little bit better not having regular meat at lunch and with these breakfast dishes. And, I just feel a little bit lighter. And I know that I'm doing something good for the planet, too, at the same time. So just get this nice and browned. And it does brown. See that? So it doesn't stay pink or anything like that. You do want it to have that browned sausage consistency. And you can see it's happening pretty fast. And let's just give this a little move. I don't want the mushrooms and onions to scorch. And I do have a number of recipes on stepbystepchef.com on how to make plant-based breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and a lot of animal-based meat dishes too. I have over 225 recipes on the site. I hope you'll check it out. The omelets are among the most popular in my series. And I think this one's going to be too. It's just going to be that delicious. And now we can just stir all this together because it got nice and browned. And now mixing up the flavors together. Oh yeah. Oh, that's going to be good. Okay, I'm going to take this off of the stove, just set it aside, and show you how to prepare the egg mixture. Okay, so this pan has preheated at just under medium heat on my stove. You might need it a little bit higher. And I'm just taking that second teaspoon of butter and spreading it across the bottom of the pan, making sure to coat the entire bottom of the pan with butter so that the omelet doesn't stick to it, so the egg doesn't stick to it. I'm really having issues with this tacky butter. It's a little bit warm in my kitchen, you know, with all these studio lights and all. Yeah. Okay. Okay, I think that does it well enough. And here comes the egg mixture. Give it a quick scramble. Now, hardcore fans of the Step-by-Step Chef remember not too long ago I had a stove, an old stove that was crooked. This is my new stove. I love it. It's even. If you have a crooked stove, you might have to tilt the pan just a little bit to make sure that the egg covers the whole bottom of the pan. And what we're doing now is we're waiting to see those little dark windows. That's the egg white. When that starts to turn white or yellow, I'll know that a foundation formed that we can put our scramble and our cheese onto. We're going to put the scramble, the sausage and mushroom onion scramble on this side and the cheese on the other side. And then what we're going to do is flip the cheese side over onto the mushroom side once it cooks. I'll show you. And this usually takes about a minute and a half to 2 minutes for those windows to start to turn lighter. And here we are 2 minutes later. You can see those little windows have lightened. So what I'm going to do is take our sausage and mushroom mix. And it turned out that was the right amount of mushroom. It's not too much for this omelet. Kind of cool that I was able to estimate that. Doesn't always turn out. It did today. My lucky day. So there we go. That goes on half of it. And then we'll take our cheese and put on the other half. Just spread that out. Okay. And then what we do is we cover this dish and we wait for the cheese to melt and that runny egg to solidify. That also takes, depending on your stove, about 2 minutes. So in 2 minutes we'll take the cover off and we'll see if that has happened. So I'll be right back. And 2 minutes later, let's take a look. The cheese is melted nicely. Let me just check that egg just by giving this a little tilt. Well, I think I'm going to go with it because it's not runny. You can see that the egg isn't running across the top of the cheese. So I think this is done. So what we do is we take our handy spatula and we scoop it under the egg and cheese part and we flip it onto that side. And that's done. So congratulations, look at what you just did. You just made this delicious plant-based sausage, mushroom, onion, and cheese omelet. Now if you want to try this, you can get a printable recipe on my website, stepbystepchef.com. There you will also find over 225 recipes for other delicious plant-based and animal-based and, quite frankly, vegetarian dishes. You're going to find it all there. And I think you're going to like it. And that's not all either. You're also going to find a video featuring me, your best friend, your step-by-step chef, making each and every one of those recipes the step-by-step chef way. So I'm Larry Richardson. I am your step-by-step chef, and I hope you'll give this a try.